The Pelicans played their first Summer League game, and while you might be blinded by the turnovers and foul numbers, you saw exactly what you wanted to see from Dyson Daniels, Jordan Hawkins, and EJ Liddell. Let's break it down in a bonus episode of Locked On Pelicans. Let's go.
You are Locked On Pelicans, your daily New Orleans Pelicans podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome to another edition of Locked On Pelicans, a bonus episode of a Locked On Pelicans, the daily podcast covering your favorite team, the New Orleans Pelicans and NBA, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, available wherever you get your podcasts and available on YouTube. I'm your host, Pelicans Insider, credential member of the media, Jake Madison, at NOLA Jake on Twitter. Here with y'all after the Pelicans lose their first Summer League game, 102-88, a game that was filled with turnovers, fouls, but you also saw some good play. And let's not forget the importance of Summer League, and it's just to see these guys out there on the court. So if you want to support the channel, become an everydayer. We're here Monday through Friday, even a bonus episode right after the game. You wanted the initial reactions to Summer League. We've got it right here. So listen Monday through Friday, completely free, the #1 Pelicans podcast, and comment down below on YouTube. Don't forget, Thursday, 7 p.m. Central, we do live shows as well. So let's get into the Summer League action. The Pelicans falling, and, maybe you look at those turnover numbers. 31 turnovers and 30 turnovers and 31 personal fouls are like, wait, what? That's a thing that just happened. And it is. And also, it doesn't really matter. Summer League is Summer League, right? This team has had like 2 practices together. They have a bunch of guys that have never played together. They also really don't have like a true ball handler that's great out there on the court. And you also get 10 fouls in Summer League because otherwise Seabron, he wouldn't have the trouble. Karlo Matkovic would have fouled out. So would Jalen Crutcher. Dyson Daniels had 5. Those numbers get inflated because you have extras. Look, if they're giving you 10 personal fouls, it's because the NBA knows that you're not going to be good, because most of the people playing in Summer League are not NBA players. So I don't read too much into those numbers. I don't expect this to be pretty basketball whatsoever. You know what I enjoyed watching was Dyson Daniels and his defense. Jordan Hawkins making his threes and doing it in a variety of different ways. And just EJ Liddell making an impact on the game almost exactly a year after missing the entirety of the season. So let's start with Jordan Hawkins. And this is going to be a slightly quicker show for Locked On Pelicans today. The rookie did exactly what you want him to do. He's a shooter and did it in a variety of different ways. 16 points on 15 shots. That's okay, though, to go along with 5 assists, 4 turnovers, 2 personal fouls, also 2 rebounds as well. He would have had a better game if his shots just simply fell. A couple of those 3-pointers, he was 3 of 10, were good misses in a sense. They went into the rim and got down there before kind of rimming out, rolling around, spiraling out of the basketball. But he did it in a variety of ways. You saw him do it off of catch and shoot situations. He did it as a pull-up 3 with a big man switched on him and launched a contested 3 over that guy and made it. He did it coming off of dribble handoffs. He got into the lane and attacked. He attacked off closeouts to drive baseline and put in a reverse. That's exactly what you wanted to see out of him, was scoring in a variety of different ways, all of them kind of built around the 3-point shot that he has. He's not scared to drive, and that I like seeing in the beginning of his NBA career. Sometimes these moments can feel a little bit too big for the guys. Maybe he got some of that by shooting 1 for 6 from the free throw line. He missed 4 straight free throws, which for him is probably the first time that's ever happened in his career. But if he's doing all of these other things, we know the free throw shooting is going to be fine. We know the 3-point shooting is going to be fine. Then I'm not really concerned about him whatsoever. He did exactly what you wanted. He was fine defensively. Wasn't good, but he was fine. Didn't really turn the ball over a ton, and that'll get better at times. And when he doesn't get handed bad passes from Seabron, which we'll talk about Seabron and Karlo Matkovic as kind of the 2 real big negatives for the Pelicans in the 3rd segment. Next segment, we'll look at EJ Liddell and Dyson Daniels. But he even showed you Hawkins did. Some toughness, some grit. It looked like he hurt his left knee, or his right knee, and came out of the game, played through it for a little bit, came out of the game, got some treatment done to it, and then came right back in. Didn't really miss much time. I love seeing non-serious injuries and injuries that guys can play through in Summer League. So I'm excited about him. It's Summer League. Don't read too much into any of this. But if you want to get a little bit hyped, I'm a little bit hyped after watching them play. So that was a lot of fun to see the rookie go in and do what he needed to do. If he makes a couple of those free throws, he can easily get to 20 points in this game. 20 points on 15 shots there, including some good misses. It really gives you hope for what his efficiency can be in the NBA. And being able to shoot all those different types of shots, which is what he's going to need to do on the court next to Zion Williamson, Brandon Ingram, CJ McCollum. All of that's important. Also worth noting, I tweeted this out, Chris Haynes went on there and said, they'd talked about trading Zion Williamson. It would take the right circumstances, the right kind of fit and package to pry him out of New Orleans. But over the past, the quote was, quote, over the last 3-4 months, talking to league executives around the league, it was made clear that Zion could be made available for the right situation and the right package. Not saying he was clearly available, but Zion can be had. Worth noting, which is what we've been saying here on Locked On Pelicans with all of that. But you saw Jordan Hawkins look very good. If you were high on the draft pick, and I said he's probably the perfect fit. Again, I don't think he's going to ever be an all-star, but you know what? Him being a perfect fit for a team that's competitive is something that I liked. So I'm pretty happy with what we saw from him in this game. Looking forward to the game on Sunday where he's going to be able to play even more. And now that he's got his feet wet here, let's see what else he can do. So coming up, I was also pretty happy with Dyson Daniels and very happy, extremely happy with EJ Liddell. Let's look at both of them coming up here next in today's episode of Locked On Pelicans. Before we get to that, though, today's episode of Locked On Pelicans brought to you by BetterHelp, today's bonus episode of Locked On Pelicans. Look, life doesn't come with an instruction manual, and sometimes things get hard, and you just need to figure out what to do or where things went wrong so you don't fall into the same traps, the same mistakes again. And that's where therapy can really help you. Whether you need someone to kind of do a deep dive with you and try and change some things in your life, or you just need someone to listen to vent to, that's also really incredible. You've got to give BetterHelp a try. I've used it before. I like it because it's just convenient and easy to use. It works around my schedule because it's entirely online. So if you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. You just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. Let therapy be your map with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnNBA to get started. All right, thank you for making Locked On Pelicans your first listen today and every day. A bonus episode recording late on a Friday or Friday afternoon for you on Saturday with the instant reaction to the Summer League Pelicans that we saw. A lot of turnovers, yeah, but I liked what we saw from a lot of the guys, and that makes me excited for the people who are going to get NBA minutes next season. More on that in the third segment here, because Jordan Hawkins and EJ Liddell are going to get minutes. Same for Dyson Daniels. And that's what we wanted to see. We wanted to see them play well, and they did. So make sure you're an everydayer of Locked On Pelicans. Monday, we'll talk about the Sunday Summer League game and probably a million other things that are going to come up with the Pelicans, some trade rumors out there as well. So let's get into Dyson Daniels. This was the main guy for the Pelicans, and I liked that he was aggressive early. He was doing exactly what you wanted to see. Be disruptive on defense. 4 steals for him. Off the first play, he forced a steal. Took it down and got fouled and went to the free throw line. That's exactly what you want to see. He was wrecking fools out there on the court. Defensively, he's NBA ready. Defensively, this is a guy that can hang. It's why he got minutes in November for the Pelicans as a rookie. It's why he was drafted with the 8th overall pick. They also liked what he could do offensively with his size too. Don't forget, he's very tall, 6'7", great size there. 18 points on the night for New Orleans, 6 of 14 shooting, not great. He was 0 for 4 from 3, which isn't good, but got to the line 8 times, made 6 free throws, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 4 steals, a block, had 4 turnovers, 5 fouls. I think the fouls were just mainly because he was so aggressive that why not? It doesn't matter. It wasn't like he was going to foul out of the game. The turnovers for leading the team in Summer League where you're playing with people you haven't played with before. A lot of guys aren't going to be in the NBA. The majority of them aren't going to be in the NBA next season. I think that's fine. Like, I really don't have a problem with the 4 turnovers from him at that point. So it was okay. He was aggressive when he needed to. He didn't mind driving to the defense and attacking. I will say there were times when he was a little tentative offensively, where he was a little indecisive. And I think he just doesn't seem to trust his offense yet. Maybe there's also a little bit of lack of trust in the teammates, and that's fine. That makes sense. So when he starts to develop that confidence in his offensive game, when it starts to come into place for him, the defense is so good already, he's going to be a good player. I'm still very, very, very high on what Dyson Daniels is going to be able to do in the NBA. He passed up an open 3 that he should have taken. There are a couple times where on the drives, he wasn't sure if he should try and finish himself or if he should jump it off, and that led to a turnover. Eliminate some of that stuff, and I think it gets a little bit easier, your decision-making, when you're on the court with Zion Williamson, Brandon Ingram, and others versus, some of the guys that he was playing with in this game. So that should kind of fix itself. One of the things I did notice about this is he made some very good interior passes. Entry passes are a bit of a lost art in the NBA, and these weren't exactly entry passes to like a big who's posting up and sealing off his man, but they were similar, and the Pelicans don't really have someone who's capable of doing all of that. So to see him go and make some of those moves, I thought was a really good thing. So I'm excited about what we saw from from Dyson Daniels in this. Defensively, he looked good. He looked like he belonged. What you were hoping he would do is dominate defensively, do enough offensively. Thumbs up to that, because that is mission accomplished there. EJ Liddell, this is just an awesome story. Guy tears his ACL, out for a season in his second Summer League game, and about a year later, just fresh off of finally playing 5-on-5 after almost a year, goes out and plays 20 minutes as a starter in Summer League and looks good. 9 points on 4 of 6 shooting. 3 rebounds, 1 block, 0 turnovers, 3 personal fouls. Man, just like a low usage, high efficiency guy. Dig it. That's exactly what his role will be with the Pelicans. They're not going to ask him to do too much. He won't need to do too much. He just needs to go out, get a couple of easy buckets, try and kind of be a beast inside, drive when he needs to drive, which he did, and look good. There were no expectations from me on EJ Liddell. Could have had a terrible game, could have been amazing. As long as you just go out and do some things and I seem happy with it, if it's kind of like an eye test thing, thrilled about that. Pass that test significantly, in my opinion. One of the things I think you see with him defensively is he's still kind of getting adjusted to being out there. I would not be shocked if he plays a handful of games in the G League to start the year, even with him having a 3-year deal with the Pelicans. I think they want to get him some run. The G League makes more sense, I think, because there were moments where, he seemed a little, not lost defensively, but just not up to speed yet defensively. And what's amazing about what he did was he would get beat in this game. He got beat a couple of times in this game, and it didn't really matter. His second effort in staying with guys, chasing them down, getting back into position was really good with it. He sticks with the play with his man defensively, even when he's beaten, and makes life tough on those guys. And he did that in this game. So even if they beat him off the dribble, okay, he runs back, he can contest the shot from behind and do a couple of other things. And then as he started to gain more confidence is when you saw him kind of come into his own offensively. He had that stretch in the third quarter, I think it was, maybe it was the second, where he had back-to-back scores, including an and one, so 5 straight points for the New Orleans Pelicans. It's Summer League. That's a good thing. Those are actually good numbers there with kind of what's going on. So to see him get into the rhythm of the game and do all of that, I was pretty happy with. So Dyson Daniels, EJ Liddell, checking those boxes. Jordan Hawkins checking those boxes. You even had a couple of other guys that had moments in this one. Frank Bartley, the fourth, looked okay for a few minutes out there. Landers Nolly was perfect from the field, 4 for 4 for 10 points. Nolly could maybe be attempting to get one of the two-way spots. There's one available. There could be another one available. We'll see. I would have liked to have seen Isaiah Brockington in this game a little bit. It was who I was really hoping to see, given how high the Pelicans were on him. Maybe that'll come on Sunday. But I think there's one player you can reduce some minutes for going into next game, and then one player who struggled that should continue to get the minutes because it's going to pay dividends long term. I'm talking about Deron Seabron and Karlo Matkovic. Let's look at both of them coming up here next in today's episode of Locked On Pelicans. Before we get to that, though, today's episode of Locked On Pelicans is brought to you by FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of Locked On. Take your first swing at betting MLB on FanDuel and get 10 times your first bet amount in bonus bets up to $2,000. That's right. Just bet $20 and you'll land $200 in bonus bets. $200 in bonus bets. Win or lose. That's $200 you can spend betting everything from the money line to the over-under to who you think is going to hit the first home run. You can also bet on Summer League. All on an app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. Plus, when you win, you can get paid instantly. There's no better place to bet on MLB than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So sign up today and visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get up to $200 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon. FanDuel, official partner of Major League Baseball and the official sports betting partner of Locked On. There it is. It's on the shirt. And thank you for making Locked On Pelicans your first listen today and every day. We're here Monday through Friday like no one else is, completely free. If you are an everydayer, you knew about the Zion stuff already. You kind of knew what to expect from Summer League too. So if you're not an everydayer, become one. Just listen Monday through Friday. And if you want to support the channel, comment down below on YouTube. So instant reactions to the Pelicans' first Summer League game. And yeah, the turnovers and the personal fouls were gross, but man, I don't really care about the foul numbers when it's guys like Garrison Brooks giving you 3, Jalen Crutcher giving you 6, right? One guy who also gave you a lot of fouls that I care a little bit about, but not too much, is Karlo Matkovic. That's because he's not going to be in the NBA next year. And if you are an everydayer of Locked On Pelicans, I've said that repeatedly for a while. And Trajan Langdon said on the broadcast, or they said Trajan Langdon said on the broadcast, that Karlo is going to be overseas for probably one more year before they really look at bringing him over. Maybe another year after that, just kind of depends, but it's going to be until next season when, not this coming one, the one after that, that they finally start to maybe even consider it. So we're a bit of ways off. So you could see why. He struggled, I thought, in this game. Just 2 of 5 from the field. Okay, whatever. 5 points. Did have 6 rebounds, and I thought his rebounding was good, but he struggled to defend. 6 personal fouls in this one, and you could see he just looked like a half step slow. Just like a half step slow. Just kind of as simple as that. It's a different game than playing in Croatia, which is not even one of like the top leagues in Europe. So he's playing against slightly subpar competition. Here he's playing against the starters on a Summer League team, which is going to have like 3 guys that aren't going to be in the NBA next season. But you could even see the speed of the game, the movement of the game was at times a little bit too much for him. Like you also see the potential in him. Like when this guy gets up, like he's got some leap ability. Like he gets up and gets high. There was a block that I think they called a foul on Dyson Daniels that he got after the fact where he like smacked the heck out of the ball after going up and like spiking it down. You see what they like about him is an energy big that goes and attacks the boards and just is kind of a high flyer. Like a small lob man is basically kind of what he is, a slightly undersized lob threat. So I think he's going to continue to get a lot of run in Summer League. They're high on his future. They believe in him, but he's not going to be in the NBA next season. In this game, you could really see why. I also think he'll play better as Summer League goes on and he just gets a couple more reps and things like that under his belt. So I'm not expecting him to struggle this badly in the remainder of the games. But look, he had 4 turnovers and 6 personal fouls. There's a reason those numbers were high. One guy I did not like almost anything that he did other than one area in this game was Deron Seabron, a guy who's on a 2-way deal for the Pelicans. He's got 1 NBA skill. 1.5. He gets downhill and he attacks the basket. And he did that enough. He got fouled. He went to the line 8 times, made all 8 of them, finished with 10 points. But he was 1 of 6 from the field. The jumper isn't there. 0 for 3 from 3. He gets downhill and he finishes at the rim or he gets fouled, and it's a little bit tougher for him to finish at the rim against NBA level competition. You're playing against the G League. Yeah, you can definitely score 18 points per game like he did. The other part of the problem is he doesn't have a good handle, and he's not set for him on the night in this game. That's where a number of those came from. It also led to other turnovers too. It was a pass that got to the guy who couldn't handle it too well, so the turnover gets credited to them, right? Like that's some of the stuff that happened in this one. You know, he's not a drive and kick guy. He's trying to make some weird passes because he moves so fast, and admittedly he does. You know, he has good size so he can get some rebounds, 8 in this game. But that's just not really the type of player that I think fits well on this Pelicans roster. You know, he played 25 minutes in this one, really handling the ball, being the point guard. I'd like to see that scaled back a little bit, whether you want to give those minutes to Landers Nolly, whether you want to give them to Isaiah Brockington or even Frank Bartley. I think that's, give him 18 minutes, 17 minutes. But I just don't see him as a guy with a long-term future on the Pelicans. He's not someone I would put on the active roster. You know, I think given the struggles in Summer League, and let's see if it happens, if it continues, maybe it changes. But if it does, you know, I wonder about keeping him on that two-way, or do you maybe want to go in a different direction, thus giving you 2 more, well, I guess it's 3 two-ways now. So EJ Liddell was on one, he's not. You have the open third one, so it's just Deron Seabron. So it could give you all 3 of your two-ways to go and get some intriguing guys out there. You know, I do think Isaiah Brockington has a chance to earn one of those, so I want to see him get minutes. Gives you potential for Liam Robbins, who's not playing in Summer League, despite so many of y'all saying, I can't wait to see what he does today. Start listening to Locked On Pelicans because you would have known he's not playing. So we'll see what ends up happening with the two-way deals, but there's opportunity there. I don't know if you need Deron Seabron to have one. Given you have 2 available, I guess you keep him if you want. But he struggled in this game with those turnovers, and you can't have that, and you're not going to be able to have that ability to have that with, you know, the Pelicans during the regular season. So I don't really think he should be getting as many minutes in the future. So what do you think? What are your instant reactions from the Pelicans in Summer League beyond the turnovers, or was it just the turnovers, which I said I don't really care about? Let me know in the comments down below on YouTube. As always, I'm your host, Jake Madison, at NOLA Jake on Twitter. This is the Locked On Pelicans podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'll have a Instagram thread set up. I have a Blue Sky too. I'll put all the links out there so you can follow me on all of those other channels too, because Twitter is tough to use right now. So we'll be back on Monday recapping the Pelicans' second Summer League game, and I'll see y'all then.